You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome back into another episode of the Mark Lesko Podcast. Joined by Chris Gorki once again to talk Penn State football and the latest search for the head coaching job. Chris, welcome back in, man.
Thanks, Bart. How you been?
Good, man. Yeah, I've been watching it closely. We've been talking quite a bit. If you guys haven't yet, check out his episode on Big Ten Huddle. He always joins those guys, and he does good episodes with them. It's good stuff to watch. Chris is really informative, really knows his stuff, and he talks to a lot of people. So thank you, Chris, for keeping us in the loop and telling us what you hear.
Sure.
But just so you guys know, we have memberships available now, and super chats, super stickers, stuff like that. So if you guys, a lot of you honestly have been asking if you can support us, and now you can on here. So just hit that join button, and we appreciate all of your support. We really do. Chris, of course, Irish Prestige is in. Irish Prestige, join the membership.
Oh, I could. I'm not in the comment section, but all right. I see.
Freeman said no to Penn State prestigious program. Choose hard, live easy. I don't know what you're saying. Go ahead, Chris. What's the latest you're hearing?
Well, Freeman's pretty much out. I mean, he's definitely not coming to Penn State. So Irish Prestige doesn't have to worry about that. But it's just a fluid situation. I mean, it's like. I always preface saying, listen, I am not an insider. What I do is I do have a couple connections where I get some tidbits of information from time to time from, a few connected people. With that information I get, I try to cross-reference it. I'll check what they're saying compared to like what's being reported out there by other people. And, some things match up a little bit, and there's certain things I could share. I share it. But the thing is, it's so fluid from 1 minute to the next. And like, I don't like putting stuff out there that's misinformation, nor would I ever like purposely do that. But it's just people have to understand it's such a fluid situation. This past week, the two names that you kept hearing were Brian Hartline and Jeff Brom, as far as two of the more favorite likely candidates. Now they're still up there, but then just yesterday, I think it was, and today there's some other people that, I trust saying like pump the brakes on them a little bit. It's not just those two. Like they're not eliminated by any means. They're still very much in it, but it's not that it's just down to those two or they're the two most likely right now. It's a wide net has been cast, and there's, it's just like I said, it's a fluid situation. When Franklin was first fired, okay, the name everybody said, every insider, my contacts, everybody, was Matt Rule. It was Matt Rule's job to lose. But that also came with stipulations that he only had one loss at Nebraska at the time. If he kept winning and didn't lose too many games, like if he lost another game or two, he was going to be out, and he had to keep Nebraska going a good trajectory. Well, right after, that was reported, he plays Minnesota and he laid an egg. And that really just pretty much killed, I'm not saying he's totally eliminated, but really just almost eliminated Matt Rule. Now, then you heard names like Eli Drinkowitz pop up, and he's still in the mix. Now you're hearing Jeff Brom and Brian Hartline. So it's just a very fluid situation. The most recent update I have is that extremely, extremely unlikely that like Kalen DeBoer Urban Meyer, they're pretty much out. I think Pat Kraft would love to get Mike Elko, but with the playoffs, it's going to be very tough to get him. Drink is, like I said, still in there, but the Florida job and the LSU opening could complicate things there. But I do think like the main names in play are Brian Hartline, Jeff Brom, Joe Brady's still in there. He's always been in there. Manny Diaz is a fallback guy. He's still in there. I've seen some reports of Greg Schiano popping up as a potential candidate, which is kind of surprising a little bit. But it's there, and there's supposedly there's a surprise name that I don't even know who it is, but I've seen someone mention kind of like a bigger surprise name that's could be in the mix. But you got to see how the playoffs play out, and they have to weigh, like Pat Kraft has to weigh. Do you want to wait for a coach to go through the playoffs where this thing drags out into late December into January and risk losing even more recruits by the chance you pass up other guys you could have and get the ball rolling sooner? And I think that's what they're trying to weigh out and kind of like take it from there. So that's it. And the closer this thing gets, it's, the tighter it gets, the less information that, it is willing to be shared with people. The picture should become more clear, it might eliminate some folks, but it's also going to be, information is going to be pretty tight. And you have to remember, a lot of coaches leverage these situations. Like a guy like Eli Drinkowitz, who might have some interest from Florida and LSU, he could use this situation as leverage against all three schools, with Penn State, LSU, Florida, for a better contract, and even use it to get a better contract to possibly stay at Missouri if that's what he ends up doing. So, again, I wish I could be more clear, but honestly, I don't even think most insiders know for sure right now who it would be. You just hear the names, but no clear favorites as of right now. Some guys that are higher up than others, but no definites.
Yeah, man, it's all over the place, honestly, kind of. But Alex, thanks for joining, man. You're our first member. Joe, welcome back. I'm hearing, and Chris, you're a great source, and I have other good sources too. That same thing, telling you that, or same thing that you're saying is that it's Brian Hartline, Jeff Brom. I don't think Elko is very hot anymore. Roll is still a possibility. Joe Brady, probably still a possibility. I mean, I think what it's going to come down to, right? And I also have heard Urban Meyer, and that's not true.
Urban Meyer's not getting the job. I could kill that right then and there, because Urban Meyer doesn't want to deal with NIL, and he does not want to deal with NIL. Similar situation to why Nick Saban got out. In fact, it's been mentioned that there was some interest with Urban at first, but whenever anything with NIL was brought up or any, questions he had, he couldn't even answer questions regarding NIL. Urban Meyer's not getting the job.
Really?
Yes.
So what is it about him exactly that, like, when it comes to the NIL stuff, like what is it exactly? Why didn't he, like, when he did the interview, did he not take it seriously or what?
No, I'm not saying that. And again, I don't have all the very specific information. I just know from what I've seen that he doesn't want to deal with the NIL stuff. He doesn't like it's out there, but it's just very similar to why Nick Saban got out. He's an old school coach, and he just doesn't want to deal with the headaches of NIL. And supposedly I don't know what the exact questions and answers were, but supposedly when people brought up NIL to him, or I don't even know if it was a formal interview, I'm just saying in conversations, but when the powers that be at Penn State brought up NIL to him, he basically just didn't really have that good of an answer. Just seemed like he just didn't want to deal with NIL. That's just, I know that's vague, but that's pretty much what my take is from what I heard.
Okay. That's interesting. To hear. I mean, what it comes down to is the next person that comes in is going to have to embrace NIL, embrace the portal. I mean, go get heavy hitters in the portal, be willing to spend money on high school kids, offer high school kids high amounts of money if it's deserved, and really make it so that, I mean, they're coming into a tough job. I mean, coming in, making sure there is enough NIL support and attracting that in. They're going to have their hands full for sure. That's interesting to hear about Urban Meyer, but Brian Hartline, listening to Tangwall last night, he mentioned that, at Ohio State, there seemed to be times where, like 23, they took the reins away from him, and then in 24 they brought in Chip Kelly, and now this year he is the OC. So basically, he was saying that while he thinks he'd be a good fit, he's been up and down with the coordinator position, and he would have to come in and tackle the head coaching spot and take on all of this extra stuff that comes with this job at Penn State right now. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting because I did hear a similar thing. I didn't see Landon's recent show on that, but I did hear, like, even this year, I don't know how much this year, but I did hear that it's not even 100% clear if he's calling all the plays. I think he, obviously he's probably the offensive coordinator, so he's probably calling most of the plays, but there's been some speculation out there with that. Now, here's the thing with that. We all love Manny Diaz as a defensive coordinator here. I think he's the best defensive coordinator we had, even though just 2 years. But, when he had to take on the head coaching job at Miami, he didn't do a good job. Like, he kind of had too much on his plate. And he just, even his defenses, when he was the head coach at Miami, even his defenses at times weren't that great. And he didn't do a great job as a head coach. As a defensive coordinator alone, he was great. He was very good. So I wonder, I don't know if with Brian Hartline, if, everybody's in a different situation. The thing with Brian Hartline, that what I love about it is he has been the best recruiter, arguably the best recruiter in college football since he's been at Ohio State, even as a receiver coach. Like, they rank the best recruiters in football every year, and his name is always at the top, if not the top of the board. And recruiting is half the battle. Obviously, you got to surround yourself with good coordinators and coaches, and there's so much to a head coaching job. But recruiting and roster retention, or not retention, talent acquisition is half the battle. And we are getting gutted right now, losing so many 27 and top 26 commits. Everybody, we're spending all this money, and people are saying that, like, we can't afford to go backwards with all the money we're spending. Pat Kraft got to make this home run higher where he keeps this thing on track, where we're back in the playoffs. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a rebuild. I don't think you're going to lose all these players and then just come back like that. But I do think Brian Hartline, the best aspect he would bring to the job is from a recruiting talent standpoint. I think he would probably bring the talent back quicker than maybe any other candidate. As far as his other head coaching ability, I have no idea, because that's a little unclear, because you don't know who he would bring as an offensive coordinator and how all that would work out. But I could definitely see where Landon's coming from.
Irish Prestige, you say the Irish community would welcome y'all if you become Notre Dame fans. It's nice to win, join the Irish. The only two good teams you've played this year, you've lost. Your program is a joke. What do you think about being Irish? I don't.
I have nothing wrong with the Irish, but, like, it's funny. Notre Dame, I remember years ago, I don't know when it was, but a couple times, I remember one time they played in Ireland and got booed. It's not like the real Irish people of Ireland aren't like big Notre Dame fans. Go root for Boston College or something if you like the Irish so much. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's another thing, too, about who would come in. Like Jeff Brom, who would he bring? Brian Hartline, who would he bring? And it really, I think what it's going to come down to, it's going to come down to Joe Brady, Brian Hartline, Jeff Brom. That's really I think it's what it's ultimately going to come down to. And Pat Kraft said it's going to be a home run hire. Brian Hartline is a home run hire.
Yeah, I think so.
And who is he going to bring with him? I mean, maybe his receivers transfer with him. I think his recruits would come with him to Penn State. He's going to recruit well. It's going to be his first head coaching job, so he's going to be loyal. And I think if you're a guy like him, like, you're crazy if you don't take that job. I mean, I think you 100% should take that job, and it would be a home run hire. And I think Urban Meyer would have his hands within our program, like helping him, if you will, because he's not with a team right now. And
Right.
Hartline's one of his guys, as well as Jim Tressel would probably help him out because that was his coach. I mean, there's a lot of.
Maybe it's like a sounding board. I don't know. I don't know how much Tressel would be involved anymore in anything, but
Yeah. He has a pocket, but it'd be interesting to see who he brings. I mean, Joe Brady, I just don't know. If I was him, I'd stay in the NFL and try to become a head coach because that's where he's well on his way. As long as the Bills keep playing well, I mean, I think they've dropped 2 straight, but yeah, it's just one of those situations, man, where, like, if he did come in, and that's who I would want ultimately. Who would he bring with him? Would he bring some Ohio State guys with him? Fessler is now at Ohio State, and he was a Penn State letterman. That's where his alma mater. So it's just an interesting situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like you said. You have, I mean, if you just compare, and again, it's more than just Jeff Brom and Brian Hartline, but just take those two guys in comparison. You got Jeff Brom, who is a very, very good coach, a proven good head coach that develops very good offenses, but how would he recruit at the higher level? And then you have Brian Hartline, where he looks like he might be the opposite. You could have the best recruiter in football, but an unproven, coach. So it's kind of like,
I'll take that.
I'll take that. I'm big on Hartline. I think he could be the next big home run hire, similar to, like, a lot of people don't like the comparisons of, like, Freeman being a coordinator going right to a head coach, or Dan Lanning. But I mean, it's like, when you are a young, hungry coach and one of the best recruiters in football, that has worked in the past, and that goes a long way. I will say that, I was watching this Ohio podcast. I think it's called The Ohio Podcast, and I forget the guy who runs it, but he had this guest on by the name of Nevada. And these people think it's that Penn State fans are absolutely delusional that Brian Hartline would even consider coming to Penn State. They think that's, like, would be crazy. How could you ever leave Ohio State? Because they think he's in line to be the next head coach at Ohio State, which he probably is if he stays. But they make all these one-sided arguments. This Nevada guy said, he goes, it's never a good time for any coach to leave Ohio State. I'm like, wow. I'm like, it was such a one-sided argument. You are a young head coach. Every young head coach that's up and coming aspires to be a head coach sometimes. I mean, not sometimes, all the time. And of course, Brian Hartline would take this job. If Brian Hartline was offered this job, I fully 100% believe he would take it. I agree. And here's the thing. He has 2 right now as it stands, and I don't know who the teams are. He has 2 other offers. He has 2 other head coaching offers. And one of them, the Penn State's still supposed to be the biggest name team that offered, but one of them's throwing a ton of money at him. So, it's for Ohio State fans that think that Brian Hartline is never going to leave their program, that he's just going to sit around year after year after year waiting for Ryan Day to leave. You might want to think again on that. I'm not saying he's going to be an ex-head coach at Penn State. I truly don't know. But to say we're delusional to think that Brian Hartline, a good young coach, whatever, because it's never heard of that great young coaches ever move on to become a head coach. Nobody ever does that, right?
Penn State would be a prime position for him and just about anybody. But what Alex asks, what if LSU takes a shot at Hartline?
What's it?
What if LSU?
I
don't think they will, and I don't think he would. I don't think he would go there, man. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe
I don't think I saw something up other day, like, and you can't trust any of these betting sites or whatever. They had a list of all these top head coach candidates for LSU, and Brian Hartline was even mentioned. I just think Brian Hartline is more of a fit in the North. I think if he does leave, it would probably be if Penn State offers, or potentially whoever this other school is that's offering a ton of money, which isn't LSU or Florida. But I don't think Brian Hartline is going to go to LSU. I mean, again, you never know. You never want to say never, but I just think they're looking at other candidates right now. So,
yeah, I don't know who's going to go to LSU. Brian Kelly, I think he's just about cooked. I mean, his character is not good. I don't know if the interview was recent or not. I don't think it was, but they interviewed the one kid who got brain cancer, and Brian Kelly stopped talking to him. I mean,
he doesn't look good character-wise for sure. I mean, no. It's a lot of people are coming out trashing him and stuff. So, just
all right, I got to answer some of these comments. These are some of these. We have the most high-class fan base in the world. Stop the disrespect. Think of myself as high-class and represent the Irish well. That's the most asinine comment.
With you. He's just trying to screw with you and just have fun and troll a little bit. That's all it is.
Notre Dame rejected me. You said every time you've been in the chat, maybe you should get over it. You should get over the W, Irish Prestige. You guys got smoked by Ohio State in the national title. That game meant nothing. Way past that. Notre Dame is trash. Fact is, very tight-lipped. No one knows, who's in the lead.
Yeah, and that's true.
Pitt is good. Pitt's doing pretty good.
Yeah, there's a logjam at the top of the ACC. That's another thing with Brian, with Jeff Brom, is his team only has one loss, and there's a little bit of a logjam at the top of the ACC right now. And who knows how far he gets, if he makes it to the conference championship, the playoffs. It's just a lot of things got to work itself out.
Coach O is on the list for LSU. He wants to come back. Pitt will beat Notre Dame. I hope so. You can't say that when Pitt lost to PSU in 27, 18, and 19. Yeah, Pitt does much more for development than Franklin did. That's a fact. That's not true at all. Notre Dame loses to Notre Dame.
The one thing that is funny that for all of Franklin's faults, as far as being an X's and O's coach and getting over the hump, we had as good a development as any school in the country. I'm just saying player development of strength and conditioning, just players getting bigger, stronger, faster, developed overall. I mean, our Penn State players in the combine always test very well. Well.
He developed guys. He just couldn't win big games. He developed tons and tons of guys. His NFL resume is impressive, but they could have been developed more for sure. The quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback not so much, but
you know what I mean, Chris.
He's about a lock. How about this? He's about a lock to take the Virginia Tech job.
Yeah, and they'll put a statue of him up down there, man. Like I said, he'll win there. Once he plays, if he played a decent Penn State team, he wouldn't beat us. Or if he went to the playoff and played a good team, there's no shot. There's no shot.
I can't see Virginia Tech making the playoffs. I don't know how well he'll do down there, to be honest with you, because there's conversations going on that because Franklin was a pretty good recruiter, and now that he's right in the middle of Virginia in that DMV area that we recruited so well, that's going to work against us and hurt us. And it might in some aspect, but the thing people got to remember is NIL is a deal breaker. And Franklin didn't like to spend big NIL on recruiting at Penn State. He's not going to have. I don't think Virginia Tech has a great NIL. And even if he changes his philosophy a little bit, the next head coach at Penn State is going to have the most NIL we've had yet. And I just think that's going to be a deal breaker. I'm not as worried about Franklin going to Virginia Tech and bringing all these high 4-star guys from the DMV. And beating us in a ton of recruiting. He'll win some, but
the thing about him, and I don't think it really matters because he's a clown, but he's going to come after Penn State guys. He's going to come after our recruits. He's going to do everything he can to get back at Penn State. I guarantee it. I think no matter what, if we have a decent team, we're going to beat him no matter what. He was a good recruiter. He wasn't a great recruiter. I mean, his highest class was 10? I mean,
Franklin's no, he had some time. He had multiple. Well, you got to remember. I mean, you could have. I mean, at one point, like 5 or 6 different rankings from site to site. On3 has their industry rankings and their own rankings. 24/7 has their composite rankings, their own rankings. Then you had ESPN. That's a joke. But I know in 2018, Franklin had a top 10 class. It might have been like 6th, 7th, depending on what site. Surprisingly, in On3's own rankings, he had in like 23 and 24, he was just inside the top 10. But in general, like if you take the average, he had a top 10 class in 2018, a top 10 class in 2022. And then, like I said, if you took the average of all of them, he was always like around 13, 14, like in there. The only 2 top 10s he had was 2018 and 22, except unless you go by just On3 only.
Yeah, Murray said his highest class was 9th. That was probably 22 because that class.
That's not true. That is not true. No? You type into 2018. You could go on 24/7 or On3 right now, and you look at the 2018 team rankings. I'll do it as we speak. That's not true. Go ahead. And you have to remember, like I said, there's different. Like the way they do it is like 24/7 has 2 different rankings. They have their own rankings, and then there's composite rankings, and it's the same. So 2018 composite rankings, Penn State finished 6th in 24/7 composite rankings. 2022 composite rankings, Penn State finished 6th again. So by 24/7's composite rankings, Penn State finished 6th in 2018 and 6th in 2022.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I want to ask this analog guy something. He said that like we're all being misled. He said nobody knows, but then he said it's not Eli, it's not Brom. If you go to this 931 comment, it's not Eli, not Brom, not Roll. Well, I definitely believe it's not Roll. But how could you say you know for sure it's not going to be Brom or Eli when you're saying nobody knows for sure? Could you answer that?
Can you repeat that, Chris?
Look at go to 931, Analog's comment 931, where he says it's not Eli, it's not Brom, it's not Roll.
Oh.
930, up a little more. There you go. So my question is, I know further up, I believe it was him that said nobody knows for sure what's going on of who actually leads. So if you're saying you don't know who leads for sure, then how could you say that you definitely rule out Eli and Brom? I could see, Eli and Brom. I could see saying Roll isn't the candidate, but how could you absolutely right now rule out Eli and Brom? You can't.
Yeah, I don't know how you can. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like Franklin did sit on quarterbacks, man. Like, I'm so glad he's gone. But I mean, he definitely doesn't know for sure who it's going to be. I mean, if he's saying he doesn't know, then how can he know who's in and who's out? I mean,
it's there's so much misinformation that people put out. In like, some people are trolling, some people just think they know. How many people said Jim Knowles would never be the DC at Ohio State? I wish they were right. But I mean, here's something crazy. I don't know if it's a website, but on Twitter, you ever hear of? It's called Football Scoop.
Yeah.
You ever hear? They put something out there that like there's a lot of support that Pat Fitzgerald might be the next coach. I mean, this is what I mean about like the misinformation. Like, look, anything's possible, but my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, I think what they're going to end up doing, the home run hire, is Brian Hartline. I mean, and he's going to ask him, like, who are you going to bring in? What's your plans for NIL? What's your plans for the portal? What are you going to do to get support here? And it sounds like Brian Hartline is doing that, and he's knocking it out of the park. So I think the home run hire that he talks about, I mean, who would that be? The home run hire? It'd be Urban Meyer. It would be Brian Hartline. It would be
they don't know who it's going to be. They're just saying it's going to be like they're going to pay a ton of money for the next head coach. They're willing to spend a ton of money and go at guys, as hard as they could. But they can't. Nobody knows who it's going to be right now. I don't know if Pat Kraft himself could tell you right now for sure who it's going to be, because you got to wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say with Hartline is now I know it's been mentioned several times that Pat Kraft prefers a sitting head coach. He wants to hit the ground running. He wants an established big name head coach, and he would prefer a head coach. That doesn't mean Hartline that it's not going to be Hartline, but he does prefer an established head coach. And this, again, just a guess on my part, I could see him going hard after someone like a Mike Elko if there was a shot, maybe another big name head coach out there. They say no, then he goes to someone like Hartline or Brown. That is, I think, and again, that's just my perspective, but that's my read on it. So, again, just have to wait and see how the chips fall.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Chris. So, and again, accounting for everything you've said, who do you think, who and when, who will be the coach and when will it happen?
I'm telling it's just too hard to say at this point. If I were to pick, okay, I think when does the conference championship game start?
Conference championship games, that's usually I think that's December. It's a couple weeks before Christmas, I think, right? Or a week before Christmas.
So I mean, this is just a guess. Again, I'm not saying right now, if I were to guess, and I'm just doing this because you're asking me, I'm straight up saying that it's just too hard to say at this point. But right now, if I had to guess, I would say that it's either going to be Jeff Brom or Brian Hartline. And I think that we would know probably sometime early mid-December. That is a guess.
I think if it's Brian Hartline, man, I think he could say, I'm taking the job. We would know early. I don't know, man. I don't know. And here's another thing, too. This weekend, people said there's no way we lose to UCLA. There's no way we lose to Northwestern. We could win. You know what I mean? We could win. Obviously. That's why they play. So what's it mean? Even if we do well enough, what's it say about him if we win or they don't win convincingly, Ohio State? You know what I mean?
I mean, if we beat them and the reason we beat them is because their offense didn't look good, I mean, yeah, that wouldn't look good. But I just think the chances of that happening is extremely slim. I mean, I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, man. I watching this offense the past couple weeks, I don't see how we're going to score many points. Ohio State has the best defense in football. Now granted, we're going to be playing Tyser Denmark and Colby Howard. That could help. Now the funny thing is that, against Michigan last year, Michigan was 3 touchdown favorites. Underdogs when they played Ohio State. And for whatever reason, and they did the same thing versus Nebraska when they played Ohio State, they coached their worst game. They kept insisting on trying to run the ball, and they struggled, and they just got away from what they did well in the passing game and utilizing their stud receivers. And they just tightened up versus Michigan, and Michigan's defense was good enough to keep it close and pull out a win at the end. I just don't think our defense is good enough. I mean, I don't see it, but I don't think this weekend is going to change anything with Brian Hartline, to be honest with you. I mean, I hope for the best, but I really don't see anything.
Yeah. Okay. So after Franklin's fired, that does open up the transfer portal, correct?
There's supposed to be, I don't know when that happens, but supposedly there's a new rule out there where players have current roster players have a 30-day window. I don't know if
after.
I don't know when that goes into effect. I don't know if Franklin has to get a new job, like if players have to wait to see if they want to follow him. But there is supposed to be some 30-day window where current players could transfer out. Not exactly sure, like I said.
So here's the thing too, Chris. All right, we would have to ask Brett. Brett's the recruiting expert, but when it comes to, I think what's going to happen, and this is what I do. If I were to take a big picture right now and say this is what's going to happen, I don't know the exact window. You guys put it in the comments if you know. For those of you guys that know, I think what's going to happen is Franklin was fired. We are now with Terry Smith, and if there's guys that can transfer, I don't know if we're going to have any guys on our roster transfer midseason because Terry Smith is the man. I think he's holding the team down well. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to end up getting like Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline's going to bring his guys, and like we'll know, even if they're in a playoff run, we'll know that he's leaving to be a head coach at Penn State. And he'll bring guys with him, but what Franklin probably is going to try to do, and I don't know if they already have their mind made up, 30-day window opens up 5 days after new coach is announced.
So,
okay.
Right. Because we haven't seen anybody leave yet, so you got to wait to see who the new coach is before.
Right. But I think what he's going to do, like a Tony Rojas, an A.J. Harris, maybe a Grunkmeyer, Corey Smith, Cam Wallace, I think he's going to try to get them because he's going to be a head coach, I think, somewhere. He's going to try to take our whole roster pretty much and take it to where he is now, to where he is then. And then we're looking at pretty much a total rebuild. Now, a few things. If Brian Hartline comes in, I think he's going to keep like a Terry Smith, an Anthony Poindexter, the strength and conditioning team, unless Franklin the strength and conditioning team, I don't know. I don't know if they'll follow Franklin to where he's at, but Brian Hartline's going to come in, and I think like guys like Grunk stay, and I think most of the guys will stay with a Hartline type of guy, and he'll keep like a Terry Smith because he's holding the team. That would be a great move on his part. Keep Terry Smith because he knows the team, right. Bring in his coordinators and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see. Like if Terry can keep the guys or Hartline can keep the guys, or if they'll go with Franklin to like Virginia Tech. You know, I think some guys might try to follow him to Virginia Tech or wherever he's at. But then it's also a lot of guys could stay and just stay with Coach Terry, stay with Hartline. If you're Brian Hartline, man, like if you come in, like if you don't keep Terry Smith, the only way I think, and I don't think he would leave, but I think the only way Terry Smith would leave is if Franklin was like, come with me, because Terry Smith's a Penn State guy.
Right. So
I think Brian Hartline would keep him, and then that would keep most of the team together. And then he would bring in his other, because Rojas is coming back. A.J. Harris can come back. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can come back. And their draft stock is probably plummeting right now because the team is not doing well. So there's a lot of guys that could stay. And I think if he came in and kept Coach Smith, like if we had like a Grunkmeyer or he brought a quarterback with him and he brought like these elite receiver recruits, like he has like the number one receiver in like the next 3 classes committed to Ohio State. So it's like
the guy gets like 3 5-star receivers every class
every year.
Now, that doesn't mean like I know you think they're all going to fall. They're not all going to fall because I mean Ohio State's still Ohio State.
Yeah.
And there's the whole again. You got to remember the NIL aspect to this. You know, if these guys are in, and even though Penn State's NIL has improved greatly, it's still not Ohio State NIL. They still have more money. You know, if they're given, a 5-star stud like Chris Henry, I think is the true freshman or going to be a true freshman, is this 5-star stud from California receiver. If they're giving him like, I don't know, a $3 million NIL deal and Penn State could only offer him $1 million, that, you know, I'm just speculating numbers, not that I know what it is, but like, you know, that's the aspect you got to really, NIL is a game changer with everything. Now, I'm not as worried about losing as many current roster players. That will happen with Franklin, but my concern going forward is just more so the portal for next year. It's the 26 and 27 recruiting class. You really got to get back on track. And this whole going from one season to the next, this is going to be a very different roster for Penn State next year. Because like you said, the new coach will bring some of his own players, but I also think we're going to hit the portal really hard because they're going to have to. They're going to have to replenish some, a lot of spots. So that's what I think. Exactly. I'm not as, like I said, I'm not as worried as much with certain players leaving, but just moving forward with recruiting in the portals, what we got to focus on.
I mean, you're right. Like guys might stay in the NIL aspect and everything like that. I mean, he would have to come in with a lot of support, on the table already in order to be like, hey, I can bring this guy or I want to recruit this guy, whatever it is. But David K, thanks for the super sticker, man. But so it looks like because when what's his name was fired from UCLA, there was this story that nobody left. So 30-day window opens 5 days after new national portal, 15 days portal, 5 days after new coach has been hired. So I guess if man, I guess if like Brian Hartline was hired, they would have 15 days to transfer, right?
Well, I mean, up above, he said 30 days. If you go 9:42 p.m. Jack Straw, 30-day window opens 5 days after new portal is announced. And then Murray says 15-day portal, 5. But then he says just to keep your players. So I don't, I think maybe what that Murray's saying is 15 days, 5 days after the new coach, maybe the first 15 days, players get to decide if they want to stay or not. And then maybe the remaining 30 days is when they could bounce once they make a decision. Because 5 days is kind of quick to change. Nothing is 30 days. All right, I'm just telling you that's, my assumption was 30 days. That's what I heard it was. And if you look above Murray, if you scroll up to where Jack Straw, well, he got the post on there. So I don't know the exact rules. I'm not going to comment.
I think I'll have to ask Brett because I don't know the exact rules because it's changed so much, man. Like Brett's the recruiting and NIL guy, but no one's left. Guys, can you just answer me straight up this question? Can guys leave right now? No, do you guys know?
They can't leave right now. I did a Google search right now that comes up that says 30 days. I literally asked, how many days can players leave if college football coach is fired? And it says 30 days. It says when a college football coach is fired, players have a 30. Now, again, this is just Google spitting something back out at me. It says when a college football coach is fired, players have a 30-day window to enter the transfer portal and explore new opportunities. The window allows players to seek other schools, and engage with prospective coaches immediately, after a coaching change.
So we have we have one more week for guys to leave, and no one's left yet. I don't think so. Well, I know no one's I have not heard anything that no one has left. So that's interesting.
Well, no, I think what it's saying is they're waiting for the new head coach. I don't know. I thought it was you got to wait and see who the new head coach is. Then once the new head coach is, then it's. I don't keep up with it as much as that.
Yeah, NIL's changed up. He's a good young coach. Yep, Brian Hartline. Cade Connors. Hey guys, I think not, but I can see it. Penn State win because your team Super Bowl this weekend. No, and last my friend came over for a Ohio State game in the Michigan game last year. My friends, I don't know what you're saying. I mean, it's not really our Super Bowl. Murray York, thank you for the donation, man.
This is coming right from the NCAA. I'm just going to read what it says. So I think I'm wrong as far as saying you got to wait for the new coach. Okay, it says the second alteration pertains to transfer expectations granted to players after coaching changes. The exception currently allows players to enter the transfer portal during a 30-day window that opens the day after their coach leaves or is fired. The committee approved the new format. However, that is shortened to 15 days and begins 5 days after a new coach is. My friggin' screen's jumping around. Literally, an ad pops up as I'm reading this.
Yeah.
But then it says the committee approved the new format. However, that is shortened to 15 days and begins 5 days after a new coach is hired or announced. Seemingly an enter to crack down on midseason portal. So I think it was the way it reads, it's saying two different things, but it looks like it was a 30-day window that they changed it where they could leave immediately after the coach is fired to now they cracked it down to like a 15-day window, and they got to wait till 5 days after the new coach comes in. That's the way it reads.
Okay. All right. So some of our guys could enter the portal and wait until we see where Franklin goes or whatever, but we'll see, man. I mean, if Terry Smith holds this team together like glue at the end, which again, like whatever, I think it's going to work out for the best, like, because these are Franklin's guys. So it's like,
yeah,
how good are they? I mean, Franklin, yeah, but
Murray, you were right, Murray. You were right.
Yeah. Thanks, Murray.
What Murray
thanks
said about the 5 and 15. It was 30, and then it went to 15. So you're right.
Coffee with a double shot of Kahlua. Irish back in the – yeah, they are obsessed. Nothing is 30 days. That was old portal. What's up, man? Penn State fanatic. Most prestigious fan base. Oh, God. Irish Prestige, shut up. Neutered Lane. That's right, Penn State fanatic. You're quoting me. You're one strange cookie. I'll give – yep, okay. All right.
I just ignore his comments anymore.
Neutered Lames. Big win is against Blames Fraudlin. That's right, Penn State fanatic. You're quoting me left and right. So, Chris, to wrap up here, man, like, we've pretty much said everything we can say, but that's the thing. Next year's roster, we don't know who it's going to be. We don't know who the coach is going to be like. But Pat Kraft, man, his job is on the line right now. He needs to make a home run hire. So,
yeah.
You
got to wait and see. Then you got to wait and see. Then they're of when the new coach is hired. How long is he going to be before he picks his offensive coordinator? Like if it's Jeff Brom, does Jeff Brom just bring his guys from Louisville? If it's Brian Hartline, then he's got to pick his own guys. It's just got to have patience.
Yeah.
So it's hard to add anything new because things are up in the air right now.
But I think at the end of the day, I think it's going. I'm getting texts right now about Irish Prestige, but at the end of the day, man, I think Brian Hartline would be a good fit. He would bring recruiting. I think he would get a lot of support. And I think if he kept Terry Smith, that would retain a lot of our roster. But then again, like, they're not going to just keep them because they're here. Like, they're going to do a total gut of this program. And Terry Smith will do that as well. I mean, Terry Smith, like, let's say he's still a coach after this year. He might be like, no, you guys are not playing here anymore because you're not giving effort. Like, some of these receivers and stuff, like, he's not going to put up with it. So we just don't know what's going to happen next year, guys. Like the 2012s, the early 2010s, man. Like we could be looking at that again. Like just losing to Ohio or getting blown out by Ohio State, stuff like that. I mean, we don't know.
I think there's obviously gonna be a bit of a rebuild in 26, but like I said, with NIL and the transfer portal, we could get back on top a lot quicker than what people realize. It could go a lot of different ways. There will be some unexpected losses that could absolutely happen, but I do think that it will be. This isn't like coming right out of the sanctions where we're crushed and we can't recruit or can barely feel like, offensive line depth. I think we'll be all right. It's going to be a bit of a rebuild. I will say that it was mentioned that Brian Hartline was very over-prepared for his interview. Like, he really impressed. But like I said, I mean, Mark, I would love to have Hartline too, but you just really got to just pump the brakes a little bit, and the audience really this is not just Brian Hartline versus the field. It's not Brian Hartline, Jeff Brom versus the field. It's not one of those deals. Like they are up there with several, but they're up there with a good number of other people, coaches that we don't all know about yet, and we don't all know how it's going to transpire, because it's what some of these coaches potentially being in the playoffs. If they're, if again, you're weighing an option. If there's a handshake deal in place with a potential playoff coach, are you going to wait until January to hire that coach if he potentially then backs out and then misses on other opportunities? This isn't like Brian Hartline versus the field. I know we keep mentioning that name, but he's not this slam dunk guy that's going to get, because that's why I say I don't want to come on here and say one thing, then the next day it's very, very fluid situation that has to play itself out, and it should play itself out a lot more over the next 2 weeks or so. Once some teams get eliminated from the playoffs, and it's going to come time to poop or get off the pot, and I think that's when we'll see some things.
Yeah, so it's going to be, I think, one thing that won't happen is Pat Kraft is not going to get a bad hire. They're going to do it the right way, and he's not going to screw this up. I mean, his job is on the line, but it's a movie right now, guys. I mean, just sit back and watch. We have no control over it. All we can do is hear the news, but honestly, I don't think they're going to do it they're going to do it the right way, and it's going to be a great hire, and they're going to really come in here and make a splash, and we're going to be happy. I do think that. Pat Kraft is not going to screw this up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very confident that Pat Kraft will hire the best possible coach he can get. He's willing to throw big time money at whoever this Knicks coach is. He's going to do what it takes to get the best. I am confident in that. Now, Murray 941, who was right about the transfer portal stuff, is saying, when I'm saying Hartline is not a slam dunk, what I would like to have Hartline, but what I'm saying, Murray, is that it's not a slam dunk, that it's like 50% Brian Hartline and versus 50% of 10 other coaches. That's not what this is at this point. I would like to have them, yeah, but I don't. But why you're saying Terry Smith would not be retained? Why? I don't know how you could know that for sure. See, this is what I mean when people make these comments. I mean, Murray seems like a knowledgeable guy. He knew about. You don't even know who the new head coach is going to be yet. But you could sit here and say who they're going to retain. I don't, I mean, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it's just, you got to wait and see. Terry Smith is going to be would be the first coach they go to retain.
Yeah, 100%.
Because of he's, it's kind of like when Franklin took over. He would have loved to keep Larry Johnson as the defensive line coach, who was the best in the country at the time. It didn't happen. But, Terry Smith is one of the best cornerback coaches in the country. And he, like Mark said, could help keep a lot of the recruits. Is it a definite he stays? No. But to say he's definitely not going to,
My point is that Brian Hartline develops what?
I don't know. He's not making sense now. He said Hartline is a slam dunk, but now he's saying Brian Hartline develops ? Why? I don't know what if he's saying he doesn't develop guys.
Yeah, wide receivers. Yeah, he does. He does develop wide receivers 100%.
Here's what I think he's saying. If you're saying it's just wide receivers, well, yes, he was the wide receiver coach. But the selling point to Brian Hartline for me is his recruiting. He is a hungry young coach, and he is a great recruiter. It's funny. Back when I mean, here's and nothing is ever apples to apples. Just because something works out one way with one team doesn't mean it's going to work out another. When Brian Kelly left, remember the Notre Dame job came down between Marcus Freeman and Luke Fickell, and Luke Fickell was the proven head coach. He was Marcus Freeman at the time was also one of the best recruiters in the country, with no head coaching experience, where Luke Fickell had the head coaching experience. And I know Notre Dame fans that back then wanted Fickell. Well, look at the difference now. Does that mean that would be the same with Hartline compared to whoever head coach Penn State's looking at? No. But, you know.
Yeah. Well, Chris,
I
thanks again for anything else?
No, it's just got to wait and see how it plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like Pat Kraft is going to get a good hire, and I think Brian Hartline would be a good hire, and he's going to bring – I mean, we're going to be humming on offense. Please, God, can we score some points on offense consistently like Ohio State? Like, my God, please, God, please let that happen. That's what I want. But, guys, thank you for the chat, the super chats, the donations. Alex, thank you for becoming a member. Guys, if you're in here, member up. We're going to have like exclusive content. And I'm going to try it out. And, you know, I like the whole membership thing. Like, I just want to, because a lot of you guys did ask about supporting us and being a member. And we're going to have exclusive content and we're going to see how it plays out. Like the whole, like paying to speak to us and stuff. I think that's weird. Like I talk to you guys anyway. You guys hit me up on Instagram and stuff. And I'll talk, like, you don't need to pay to talk to me. But if you guys want to like have like a,
people are paying.
You know, what's that?
I said that's nuts. That like just paying to what, like call in or something like that.
Yeah, like it's, I don't know. Like I always thought that because bro, there's people out there. They have like you got like obviously this is a kind of a wide ranging example, but Wes Watson, like, dude, he'll have people pay him to like talk to him and stuff. It's like one-on-one chat.
Well, that guy's
like,
cool. I mean,
what?
The guy's. I mean, he made money off it because he built up a little bit of a following. But it's like,
yeah.
No, it is. It's funny. There are celebrities out there that there's websites where you could pay celebrities to like wish you a happy birthday and like call you. I don't know, Mark. Maybe you're getting famous.
Hey, maybe I am, man.
Thanks
maybe
for
I'm
supporting,
getting there,
guys. You know, we're after the show, we're going to be doing an autograph signing.
Yep. I mean, Chris is famous, man. He's on Big Ten Huddle. That's a great show, and they really like him there. And Chris, you always do great work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But
yeah, you guys member up. You know, we're going to have like some exclusive content. I'm going to try it out. And the more members we have, the more people that will be in there. But I made it the price it is because I don't want just anybody buying it and then coming in like Irish Prestige and like ruining everything. So, yeah, that's why I did it. And we'll see how it goes. But I want to have some exclusive stuff for you guys. So thank you for the support, guys. Thank you for the super chats and everything. Chris, once again, thank you for coming on, man. You can stay on here and catch up with me after if you want. And yeah.
All right. I gotta run to the bathroom, but no problem.
All right, Chris.
Guys. It was a good show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Yep. Well, guys, again,